The way we see ourselves is largely dependent on what other people say about us, as well as the beliefs and values that we've been taught. And our view of ourselves can radically change based on a few opinions, based on a relationship with someone that we really value. In fact, people whose opinions really matter to us have an enormous impact on who we see ourselves to be. I know this happened to me when I started dating my wife. I had a specific view of who I was that was profoundly changed when a very beautiful woman looked at me and found me attractive. Because prior to that moment, I had a middling view of my attractiveness. But when this beautiful woman looked at me and believed that I was attractive, I really felt attractive, at least to her. And so that was the beginning of what I would say has been a beautiful relationship over many years. And a relationship that continues to have a profound impact on the way I see myself. In the work that I do, there are times when I have really questioned my decisions, questioned the things that I've done. And I've leaned very heavily on my wife's opinions because I have great respect for her and for her insight and wisdom. And so there are times when she has had reservations about something, and I've been foolish not to pay attention to that. On the other hand, there's times that I've been very discouraged about something I've done, and she stepped in and given me perspective and encouraged me, and in some cases given me the will to continue to go. You see, our sense of self is so profoundly shaped by others that we really need to be around others who see us in the best possible way. And although we live in a moment that is lying to us about the fact that we're the only ones who really know who we are, and we have to discover who that person is and then excavate that individual from the inside, bring them out, and then work very aggressively to make everybody else see us the way we see ourselves. The reason why that's a lie is because we never, ever, ever develop a sense of self based on internal logic. That internal logic is 100% influenced by the people around us, by our parents, by our peers, by our media. And in the past, it was lived relationships that largely defined us. But now it's the places where we spend most of our time, which is in media, especially children, especially teenagers. And in those places, our children and our teens find spaces where they're hearing messages that affirm things about themselves that they like, and then begin to reinforce those perceptions until it becomes the way they see themselves. But listen, it didn't start on the inside, it started on the outside. Because we are a conflicted reality. Every single one of us is a mess of conflicting desires. Every single day, we're making decisions to either express things or suppress things based on the way we perceive those things are going to be received. And we are always looking for affirmation. We're always looking for a group that we value to say to us, you matter, you have value. Maybe it's someone we love, maybe it's a group that we value, maybe it's a group that we want to be a part of, but that external group, that external person is the one who's helping us prioritize our decisions. And you know, even when you have an individual who defies the odds and stands against the crowd and really just says, I will stand on my own, a person that existed in the past, but doesn't really exist in the same way today. Because today our young people value the affirmation of their desired identity group. And so standing against that group is the worst thing they could ever think of. But in the past, we admired people that stood their ground. But if you look at those people carefully, you'll discover that they were shaped by a set of values that was determined by the crowd. Because the crowd told them that this is the most admirable kind of person, the person that has the courage to stand for truth and stand for justice when everybody else isn't. Because the crowd says eventually you'll be the honored one, you'll be the hero. That's what heroics look like. So what I'm trying to say is that our students, our children, our young adults are all shaped by outside forces. And the outside forces that are shaping them have explicit and implicit values. Explicit are the things that are obvious. These are the things that matter. But implicit is, as I tried to say last month, that every platform of information comes with embedded beliefs and values. As I said last month, Malcolm Muggeridge, many decades ago, said the medium is the message. And what he was saying at the time about television in particular is that television doesn't simply give information, it gives it in a certain way that leads us to think and feel and value certain things. And now we have the internet age. And as I said last month, there are 3 values that are embedded in internet technology, internet information, and they are novelty, they are consumption, and they are isolation. Because that form of communication, because there's so much of it so quickly, gives us an appetite for more and more different. More and more different. And that's one of the reasons that we very quickly moved from a set of ideas that were normative, even just 10 years ago, to ideas that were really marginal 10 years ago, but now have become defining values in our time. Because of that consumptive nature, and also because of the novelty. And then most of us consume that information not in a group, not in a relational setting of other people hearing the same thing, and then us having to talk about and realize that we heard different things, and well, what was the person really saying? That doesn't happen anymore. What happens is we are all alone with our screens, and we're all processing it alone. And we're all developing relationships with influencers that are developed just between them and us. And the way we read them and the way we read the information becomes the way it is. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. If we're going to help our students develop what we believe is a biblical understanding of themselves based on special revelation and natural revelation, which is the created world, then we have to help them change their relationship to their primary way of getting information. Do you understand what I'm saying? There was a time when I think I was much more low-key about this, but I'm becoming more and more convinced that the way forward is a radical redefinition of our relationship to our screens. In other words, we need to spend less time getting our primary sense of the world through our screens and more time getting our primary sense of self through lived relationships and through encounters with the natural world. Because our kids are spending very little time outdoors. Many of them are indoors all the time. Many of them are with screens all the time. Many of them are very rarely with peers. Many of our homes are screen-based homes now with very little real conversation. And so I'm saying to you that we are not going to win this battle of identity in terms of helping our kids develop a wholesome, healthy, mentally stable, flourishing, glorious, joyful sense of themselves unless we help them redefine their relationship to the media that is absolutely dominating. And there is a movement on afoot right now, and it's getting bigger and bigger. A lot of schools in the States are banning the use of phones during the day. A lot of schools in relation to AI are going back to analog learning. Like they're rejecting screens altogether. Now, you might not be in a position to do anything more as radical as that, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's in our future. So this might be disturbing, this might be difficult for you to hear, this might be challenging. And I also want to recognize that many of you are working primarily through a screen because of the fact that you're an online school. But I have to commend you. You've already figured out the importance of relationships. So the community classrooms are a really powerful way of building those lived relationships. And of course, Many of those students, if not all of them, have a relationship with their parents and their learning that the average kid doesn't have in a school. So I think a lot of those lived relationships are actually baked into your learning environment. And those people that think online learning is simply a kid with a computer all day long don't know what's really happening in online learning. But I'm just suggesting that we really need to think about our relationship to our screens. We need to understand that it isn't simply a medium of communication. It is a medium of value and belief shaping with communication added to that has the potential. And I believe our screens can be used in a redemptive way. I certainly try to do that all the time by limiting my access to it, by maximizing my relationship with others. I've started to read physical books again because I find it so much more relaxing than my Kindle. So there's all kinds of things you can do, but I want to challenge you to really think about doing them. It is in your best interest, it is in your students' best interest, and I think it will be a vital way to help them recover a sense of identity that is, in my view, flourishing, joyful, and eternal. So, wrestle with this one this month. Bless you.